Warning, warning. The following video is a dissection involving a social content creator slash social media influencer or based off memory of this individual's career here in an iceberg format. Everything I say about said individual is only committed from my memory. If there are some gaps in it, go ahead and comment and fill it in for me. Regardless, these are also partial in my opinion. Other elements will also consist of certain elements I don't want to touch, but will discuss that around darker aspects of the show business industry. Viewer discretion and will consist of foul language and other mature content. Viewer discretion is heavily advised. What can be said about the individual who started the Kick Vic movement? Kaylin Saucedo, formerly Dickinson, aka MarzGurl. Quite a bit. But let's go back to her humble beginnings. Born in the mid to late 80s in the town of San Antonio, Texas, she had a love for games, movies, and animation, as well as creating said films. But it wouldn't be until around 2008 where she heard the opportunity knock. At the time, there was a fledgling website called That Guy with the Glasses, later renamed channelawesome.com, that was looking for someone to take up the mantle of the nostalgia chick. The audition was basically that the women had to review the 1982 animated adaptation of Peter S. Beagle's The Last Unicorn. Of the, I don't know, hundreds, if not dozens of women that submitted their reviews, Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic, chose only 3 finalists. Lindsay Ellis from New York City, Chrissy Diggs of Kansas City, Missouri, and Kaylin of San Antonio. Ultimately, the role of Nostalgia Chick ended up going to Lindsay, with Chrissy, who finished second, becoming that chick with the goggles, and Kaylin, who finished third, ended up being labeled MarzGurl. From her time, with Chrissy basically working on commenting on her favorite games of the current era and retro era, where Lindsay would do more up current movies and classic movies, somewhat in the style of Doug, but more with her own little hook to it. Kaylin, on the other hand, struggled as an anime news reporter or critique, as well as regular animation news critique. But she was at least content. It was not until about a year and a half later when Doug brought someone new to the fold. That individual was at the time known as Hope Chapman, aka the Otaku of the D2 Brigade, which was a smaller collection of critics consisting of Professor Otaku, Vixen, and probably the most prominent to come out of the brigade, aside from Jo, Tristan Gallant, aka the Arcada of Glass Reflection. On the surface, it seemed that Hope and Kaylin were good friends. However, deep down, Kaylin was jealous of how much more attention Hope got over her. So what'd she do? She basically by 2012, she bullied Hope out of the group after the Channel Awesome 4th anniversary film. Which, as far as I know, was JO's first and only time she ever worked was part of a Channel Awesome film shoot. From then on, MarzGurl was the only anime source. News source, or on the site. But tragedy would strike a little more than a year later. A little more than about another year and a half later. As we all know what happened in January of 2014. the suicide of Justin Carmichael, aka the import gaming reviewer Jew Wario. There's a memorial help service held for him at Con Bravo, where every member of the Channel Awesome community gave their thoughts and 2 cents on the kind of person Justin was. But sometime afterwards, rumors got out that Justin was an adulterous groomer, which was the main reason that out of guilt he took his own life and wound up in hell. Yes, that's where I believe he is. Not so much for the adultery, but for taking his own life. He's down there. Many of the Channel Awesome content creators tried to deny it, but as the years went on, things got more and more out of hand, and with more and more people stepping forward with evidence that proved that Justin did what he did. And by the time the rest of the content creators found out that Doug, Rob, and Michael were doing everything they could to cover it up, Channel Awesome's reputation was ripped and was shredded. MarzGurl was made to look like an idiot, so much so that in 2018, she put together the channel Not So Awesome document, which led to her and the majority of the channel Awesome content creators leaving the site. Bennett the Sage, Linkara, Angry Joe, Paw and his wife, who was the vampire woman, I don't remember her name, Todd in the Shadows, Obscurus Lupa. For those wondering where Nostalgia Chick was at this point, she had gotten into some drug issue, got in trouble with the law involving drugs, and was in and out of jail a few times, going through rehabilitation. But because of that, she was cut from Channel Awesome. She tried making a comeback as a nostalgia lady when she got clean, but I don't think Lindsay has managed to recover most of her any of mo, any of most of if any of her past fame. And by this point, Yasu Taku had gone and had become a transgender. Yeah, it was predominantly due to the Jew Wario cover up, Evie, and to how far they were going to cover up how the top brass were going as far as they were to cover up Jew Wario's grooming, essentially. The only ones that stayed were Tamarind and whatever her name is, Malcolm Chambers, and Brad Jones, aka the Cinema Snob. And for those also wondering where Spoonie was at this point, well, prior to this, he had gone completely cuckoo anyway, so he wasn't even around when shit hit the fan. Also, the Blockbuster Buster had flown the coop, and he was only there for about 2 years. Regardless, Mars Girl was then imprinted with a self imposed sense of guilt. How could she allow this to go out on unnoticed in her mind? So she landed a job at A&N, and she was wondering if someone as kind as seemingly as kind and innocent on paper as Justin was could turn out to be such a pedophile in real life, who else could be like that within the industry? That's when she chose her target of Vic Mignogna. Shortly after the Broly premiere, she made a bullshit article using the Illic Guardiola article as a base, and it led to Vic getting fired. Granted, Funimation at the time was already super woke, so Vic wouldn't have gotten a fair investigation anyway. with many of those in the industry stabbing Vic in the back, him getting blacklisted from cons, and not even having his case heard by the courts in the state of Texas. From then on, MarzGurl led the Kick Vic Brigade into basically demanding and threatening cons that dare to hire Vic to revoke their contract, withdraw their invites and contracts, essentially torturous interference. And she has been ragging about it for the better part of 4.5 years. That's the kind of woman this bitch is. And bored of despair, the Twitter user who's neutral wants to get on my case for basically speaking the truth. Go ahead. I mean, I've been probably one of the more civil I stand with Vic individuals when it comes with talking to you. And you agree with me, sir, that but while there may be people pleasers on both sides, Kick Vic is the bigger group of people pleasers. As they've shown, they're more interested that they want quick fixes and cover-ups as opposed to getting to the bottom of situations. They would rather deflect blame from themselves on others, abuse their influence over cons to twist the narratives to make themselves look like they're in control. But Vic has had enough of that, and now he's coming after these individuals. That too. I mean, as soon as I jumped in the fight for I Stand with Vic, 4 months in, MarzGurl got a hold of my personal info and contacted my mom, threatening the cops if I didn't back off. That's how far she's willing to go to cover her tracks. And she's fucking proud of it. And that's disgusting. Am I proud of the shit I've said about her? No, I'm not. But do I mean every word of what I say about her? Yes, I do. And the same thing goes for the rest of her ilk. I Stand with Vic losers, Tora-chan, BT Underdog, Stan's reports. You're nothing but clout chasers, cunt hunters, i.e., in Bryant in Underdog's case, he wants to stick his dick in Monica Rial's cunt when it's never going to happen, dude. You're all just a bunch of people pleasers who'd rather sweep the crimes of your heroes under the rug instead of confronting it head on. The other reason thing is, despite Vic admitting to what he did, there wasn't enough admitting to making admitting to some of it. There wasn't enough to convict him. And besides, he was the plaintiff, not the defendant in the case, something you guys never understood. And Jew Wario killed himself before he got arrested, before he could be convicted of his crimes. Which is why Doug, Michael, and Rob went so far with the cover up. Which is why I've said, woe to you, Kick Vic, you hypocrites. The outside of your cup and dish may be clean, but inside it's full of greed and self indulgence. Clean first the inside of the cup and the dish, and the outside will also be cleansed. Your whited sepulchres or grave markers, all fair and clean on the out, but in full of dead men's bones and everything that is corrupt. So tell me, how many of you plan to how many of you have any semblance of hope of escaping damnation? Not many of you. In my opinion, not many of you. And Mars Girl, you're the worst of the bunch. You've proven to be jealous. You've proven to be spiteful. You've proven to be an idiot. I mean, trust me, if you anyone who's watched that game show clip of her and her husband would know she's pretty incompetent when it comes to word puzzles. When it comes to word-based puzzle games. Because what is a puzzle game supposed to do? Because what's the point of a puzzle game? It's meant to sharpen your brain. As far as I'm concerned, Mars Girl don't have a brain. I stand with Vic now, then, forever. I already said Lady Tora. I already said Lady Tora. Tora Evie. Leave a comment, smash the like, and subscribe to my channel. This is Mets2128 signing out. Till then, I bid you adieu, so goodbye, and good fucking night.